Ready? Okay. All right, we got 5:30, so I'd like to call this regular meeting to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item B, recording of the roll. Item C, approval of the consent agenda. Are there any changes we need to be aware of?
No changes.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Sim to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any further discussion or concerns on this item? Roll call.
Here,
Yes.
Simo,
Yes.
Sim,
Yes.
Tower,
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. Item D, receive and place on file 1 statement of revenue and expenditures and 2 monthly cash report.
Thank you. Tonight, I am reporting on the financials for the month ending April 30th, 2015. Through the end of April, we are approximately 83% through our fiscal year budget. Seems like we actually just started. But same reports as usual. First, the statement of revenues and expenditures. First page is our general fund with our general fund departments. Overall, nothing major to report in the general fund. You see some of them are nearing the 100% mark, and that's just due to timing. Go right down, I guess, in a lot of our projects too, you see limited activity, if at all. Those are starting to get off the ground. Some of those will be pushed into the next fiscal year. We haven't done budget amendments to take them out yet, and we'll be doing that next month. Overall, period fund balance, again, you're going to see that negative, May and June as well. That is due to we are using the fund balance on our street projects that we've already done. So we've done a lot of work on that. Overall, with using the fund balance, we are positive. The next page in the major local streets, again, nothing too significant. I put some budget amendment numbers in there, again, local for the formal adoption process going forward. Just a reminder, we got some additional $1. We got some snow funds from prior years, so we use that to help with our winter maintenance and our snow hauling in the major and local streets. And the local streets, you see toward the bottom, the debt service, we have made our annual debt service payments for the 2012 street paving bond. The next page, the equipment funds, water and sewer funds, those are all healthy. We had no major surprises like we did last year with our water fund. Again, in the sewer, we'll have to add the sewer stop grant project into the budget. That's 100% grant driven. But all of your fund balances, utility funds, and our source funds are all healthy. Fourth page, some of the smaller funds, library fund, again, operating in the negative throughout the fiscal year until they receive their penal funds. Civic Center, revenues have come in excess of expectations. The revenues are up as well. They'll be going through their formal budget adoption process as well. In the cemetery, we're seeing activity starting to pick up there. We'll see even more so here in May and June. And then some of the smaller funds are more building debt. In May, we just made our final payments on that bond. So that will be all done. And then some little activity in economic development, revolving loan fund, and with the IDA in the last one. The next report is the cash balances report. As of April, all our cash balances are healthy. We need to report as far as the cash balances are concerned.
Commissioners, any questions or concerns for Mr. Lin while he's here?
Yeah, I have a question about on the check register report, 131050. It's for Sandy Sharp Marketing for the art grant expense. Do you know what that is for?
I do have a detailed report there too. Let me just look that up. My thought is that we cut a check to her for multiple items. She does work with us on the newsletters as well. So it might not all be related to the art grant. Mike, I don't know if you can speak to what Sandy would have done.
Well, the only work that Sandy's done with anything I've been involved with is the PIPA when they did their World Lily brochure.
Yeah.
That's the only work that I'm aware of that I've authorized her for, so I'm not sure what this would be.
I need to go back and look at the history. This is gonna be multiple things.
Yeah, I apologize, I don't know the answer at this point, but I'll send out an email to the entire commission with detail for that.
I know I haven't signed off on any
But other than that, I
thing
mean,
from this pilot work.
Yeah.
She does create the newsletter.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think she helped out with the newsletter as well. Any other questions or comments at this point?
Just you made a quick passing comment on the Civic Center that they seem to be doing well. Somewhere down the road, I'd like to get a little bit better picture of how they're doing, since we did the ICE project and how that's all playing out.
Okay. We've talked about that before, and I have spoken with Brian, who's their manager, as far as the project's concerned, what were the impacts of that?
Right.
What were the additional revenue sources? How did it impact the expenditures? One of the things that he mentioned is, we're seeing some savings from the utilities, and then the rates went up.
Right.
So the excess revenue that we're getting out of the project works netting out as high as we had hoped because of the rate increase. But I'll talk to Brian again and I'll put some numbers on paper, maybe a brief summary on that, on the project, kind of project impact on the whole revenue expenditures.
Because you could do a what-if calculation if we hadn't done the project with the new rates. You could see how it would have been, how many BTUs or therms or whatever we used of our different utility components and how much we used last year, and rather than dollars, compare the actual usage.
Yep, certainly. All that information will be embedded in our utility invoices. So we have that information available, so we set put it together in a presentable format.
All right. I'll make a motion, we receive and place on file the 2 reports in, I don't know what item, because I have the wrong agenda here.
D.
Last week's is sitting here. The 2 reports in item D.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Tower, to receive and place on file 1 statement of revenue and expenditures and 2 monthly cash report. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item E, approval of monthly check register report.
I'll make a motion, we approve that report.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Kayer, to approve the monthly check register report. Any further discussion or concerns? Roll call.
Sim,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Carey,
Yes.
Simo,
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. Item F, approval of the agenda. Are there any changes we need to be aware of?
No changes on the agenda, but I do want to make the commission aware, we may, Michael Holt will be here for the meeting, but he has to step out. We do share his services with the city of Wakefield, and he had asked if we could release him a little bit early if the meeting was longer. So I don't know if there's any particular legal issues or questions you might have, but I think you see Michael step out during the meeting. We have worked out with the city of Wakefield to, again, share his services. They would do likewise for us if we have fewer items. So if that's something that you want to ask him prior to, definitely bring up.
Okay. A motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Sim to approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All those in favor, aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Item G, citizens wishing to address the commission on items that are on the agenda. 3-minute limit, please. Please be respectful, and if you're able, approach the podium and state your name. And this is an opportunity for the members of the audience to provide their point of view so that the commission may gain some knowledge on topics before making their decision. So, comments on the agenda.
Yeah, please don't ask. Kim, I'd like permission, for M and N. I'd like to see what's being said about it, and I think that's what I mean now. So when I wait for the-
At this point, I think we'd like to hear what you have to say about M&N, and then if we have further concerns, we can kind of reference or,
I just heard Paul then say that the water department, their services, we've got a good balance there. But here I noticed that the water rates are going to be going up in 2016 year. And on N, discuss and consider proposed sewer rates. I have a couple of questions that we belong to the wastewater authority down there, okay? We've got some members that sit on that. We pay, the city of Ironwood pays 70% of that bill. That's what we're being charged for. My question is, why are we still being charged 70% when our population has probably gone down from when this thing started by at least 1,500 people, if not more? Okay, so why isn't that whole thing looked at again? And our guys who sat on that board with the increases coming up down there and everything else voted no. But yet we're gonna pay 70% of that bill. So I don't know if our attorney is real up at our what we can do. But maybe we should go back to court over this thing, because I think it's ridiculous.
Okay.
That the city of Ironwood gets nailed for everything. What do we look like? We richer than the rest of these people or what?
Okay.
So those are the two things.
Okay. All right, thank you. I'll mark those and we can bring those up in discussion at that point. Anybody else? These are items that are on the agenda, looking for your point of view before we discuss. If you're able, approach the podium and state your name.
There's several things on the agenda, so I'd like to have them discussed after just the commission discusses them. Obviously, because you know the rural land flat thing.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name.
I'm sorry, I'm Brian Derry.
Okay, thank you.
And then of course the water and sewer rates. Again, it's on the agenda, but it's a little hard to discuss it before it's brought up before the commission.
Okay. What are your comments on the Aurora?
Okay, well.
Which,
I guess I can address that.
okay, which item number are you looking at?
So item I.
Okay.
Discussing the creation of an assessment plat for the rural land neighborhood. Now, while I have no problem with the Rural Land Association creating the rural assessor's plat in principle, it should not be paid for by taxpayers, as it has been since its inception, an association for the management of the property for a fee. Regardless of how much or how little that fee is, as it is still a fee for management purposes, to a recognized association should be treated as such. If not, it would be considered as a city of Ironwood showing favoritism and therefore not eligible. Okay, and then item J is the same thing, discuss and consider professional land surveying services and Comm engineering for the development of the rural land assessment plat, again, for the same reasons. Obviously, for the same reasons mentioned in item I, it should be denied funding at the taxpayer's expense. Again, from its inception, they pay for it. It's up to them to pay for an assessors for Comm engineering and everything like that. May I wait for the rate increases and the curbside recycling?
I would just like to hear your comments at this point, and then if needed, we'll seek input at that point.
Discuss and consider proposed water rate increase for the 15-16 fiscal year. It's been reported by the city that many or most of the leaks for the city's water supply lines have been repaired or replaced, saving us, the taxpayers, the water users, a large sum of money used to pay the city's use of water overall, and thus saving monies in the long run. Now, if that's true, then why are rates now subject to yet another rise in rates? As a former engineer and utilities officer in the Marine Corps, I fully understand the need for infrastructure and maintenance fees, but that was the reason for the last increase. Keeping up with inflation is one thing, but to have an increase without a valid explanation is quite another. Now, if the city water and sewer department can show us where there's new increases to be spent on water supply only, I might be able to support it.
Okay.
But if they cannot, and is only raising fees for the sake of raising fees, or for other than water supply funding, I would hope that whoever is submitting the request be questioned and maybe even sanctioned. Now, in this community being made up of so many people on fixed incomes, we must be ever vigilant of how our tax dollars are being spent. Wise investing in our city is a good thing and should be steadily grown, but watched nonetheless. And we are outpacing inflation with the cost of surviving in this community, and I do not believe that an increase in water rates is warranted at this time.
Thank you. Some very good points for us to consider.
Okay, want me to address the sewers?
Nope.
Kind of the same thing.
Okay. Kind of get the gist of your point.
So again, as infrastructure has been improved by way of state grants and projects, the cost of maintaining our sewers should be on decline. For most of the same reasons that I mentioned on M in the agenda, I am prone to say that a rate increase is not warranted this time unless the water and sewer department can directly utilize those costs for the sewer usage only.
Okay.
Low inflation rates nationally indicate that rates should remain at current levels, or is that money to be utilized elsewhere?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, and then curbside recycling will be later.
Yep. So your time has expired, but we kind of think we understand where you're coming from. And again, if we need more input or what, we will call upon you at that time.
It's my understanding that it's supposed to be 3 minutes per item on the agenda.
I believe it's 3 minutes total.
I'd like to question that, please.
Okay. Okay, anybody else wish to address the commission on items that are on the agenda? If you're able, please approach the podium and state your name.
I'm Kristen Miller. I'm here to talk about item I, the Rural Land Corporation survey. I've been a member, owner of a house there since 1980, and over the years I have seen our neighborhood kind of slow down. I've seen how difficult it is for our neighbors to sell houses when they have to move on, and therefore we have some houses that are just sitting there rotting. I see how leery people are to buy houses because it's such an unusual situation. You can buy a house but not the land, and people are totally confused. And therefore, we have property and land that's just, and houses that are just sitting there kind of rotting. And we're so excited, neighbors are so excited about the city recognizing us as part of the city and letting us get past this, because there aren't many people that live there anymore. It's very difficult to keep it moving forward. And we really would appreciate if you support the survey. We're all going to put more of our own money into it also. And what's good for our neighborhood is good for the city, because it's work better. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, we are still on item G. Anybody else wish to address the commission on items that are on the agenda? If you're able, please approach the podium and state your name.
Alder Boss this year. Well, 10 days ago, I came in for 2 items that I wanted to put on the agenda. How come they weren't put on the agenda?
It's not part of our normal procedure, Paul.
So in other words, Russ Anderson's property, all the water that he's gonna get in his yard, it doesn't matter? Because that new switch
All right.
project, Falk Engineering,
Stop, Paul. What item are you addressing on the agenda?
the one I wanted to put on. Why weren't they put on? We could address them. I brought the same question up at the last meeting, and Russ's problem was not addressed.
Are
It
you,
was just
Paul-
passed by.
Paul, stop. Are you Russ's guardian?
No, I'm just a concerned neighbor.
Okay.
And a taxpayer in this community.
All right, Paul, I don't believe that the commission should address another person's property. If that person has issues with their property, the procedure should be for them to come to the city offices, address the people who,
We did. And that's as far as it went.
then he needs to work with that. I am not going to pull other people's property at your suggestion. That is not going to be our procedure. So if you
I
have,
care about Russ's property. Even if you're a list like this.
keep your comments to facts. This is not, you can't say that we don't care. The procedure is going to be, I am not going to address other people's properties as you bring them up. That is up to Russ to come to the city offices and address it with the experts who can explain what is going on and what the concerns are. If you have a comment on an agenda item at this point, I'm willing to hear what you have to say.
And see, no to operate, to raising the sewer rates, it is disgusting. We are paying enough. We're paying way too much. People in Montreal pay $30 a month for two. We're worth about $80, $90 a month for water and sewer. It's disgusting what we're paying. We do not need a rate increase. Tighten the strings. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, still in item G. Anybody else wish to address the commission on items that are on the agenda?
Joe Peter Senior, 100 East Ash Street, Ironwood. First on the rural land, I have absolutely no problem with going ahead with this project if those owners of their homes pay for it. There is no reason that the taxpayers of the city of Ironwood should pay to have something platted when there are people that have been living there for probably 100 years, and it's always been a land association. I mean, I remember back when I was working, there was issues with the land association. Yes, it's a problem. They can't get loans, they can't sell a house because they don't own the property. But they should pay for the survey. Water and sewer rates, come on, people. Just keep adding them on for anticipated projects. At least when it was raised for the highway project, everybody knew. But I mean, you're pricing people out of living in the city of Ironwood. Because after the water and sewer rates, then you look at the property taxes. And there's a bunch of people getting to the point they can't afford to live in their own home. It's a heck of a lot cheaper to go to the townships. Last item, the recycling garbage can. First off, you're extending a contract for 2 years without taking bids. That's number one. And number two, the company wants to charge us in the end $1.60 a month more to pick up recyclables that they take back and sell for profit. Right now, you have a number of recycling places in town, and they're well used. When I do have the cardboard or whatever, I use them. But I don't generate that kind of recycling material to pay another $1.60 a month. So I wish you would really consider the rate you're spending the taxpayers in the city of Ironwood's money. Because I think you're spending it way too fast. You know, right now in this economy, in this country, everything's just about flatlining. Except for eggs, I guess, now and chicken. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item G, items on the agenda. Okay. That moves us to item H, citizens wishing to address the commission on items that are not on the agenda. Again, please be respectful and watch the time limit of 3 minutes. This is not a time for personal attacks. If you feel that you have a topic that's longer than 3 minutes, again, this would be an opportunity for you to set an appointment with city staff. All right, so items not on the agenda, if you're able, please approach the podium and state your name.
Again, I'm Brian Derry. I'd like to address the road conditions in the Ashland area. I just have a question. These streets seem to be worse than deplorable. I mean, they're horrible. They're dangerous, pose a threat to the residents of the city. They're not just in need of maintenance, but will need to be completely relay, not refurbishment, but a complete overhaul. Now, it's hard to believe that the best times for navigation on these roads is during the middle of winter. When at least the ice and snowpack can hide the heaving, potholes, and upturned pavement. Now, I visit this area frequently on my motorcycle. Now, even on a bike, it's near impossible to avoid the pitfalls of the roads and bottoming out in the air shocks. Some residents have been informed of some of the needed repair work being performed soon, meaning when the money becomes available. Now, many are concerned that the work being done on these roads will create an even greater problem of drainage than they are currently experiencing. Now, I've been here in front of the commission before regarding plowing, and residents in this area have many of the same issues that I brought up. Now, one particular resident has a snow pushed so far onto her property that it becomes a lake during the springtime thaw. Now, I know that road products cannot by nature appeal to every resident, but it is possible to have the engineering firm, but is it possible to have the engineering firm handling the projects to at least look at some of these fears and apply some common sense when submitting the plan for bid? Or perhaps a city manager or street manager should be aware to take some preemptive pro-action for these residents, please. And the rest of my time, I'd like to discuss, it's my understanding the recycle program is under proposal right now, and I agree with Mr. Kayer. That's a for-profit business. Why are we being charged? We're going to be charged for something like that. That's asinine. We need to look at that really hard, because I ran the recycle program for the newspaper, and I know it makes money. So if it makes money, one, who's getting that money? And two, why isn't it being used for the recycle program to keep it going, to keep it better?
Thank you. All right, items not on the agenda, 3-minute limit, please. Anybody else?
Yes, Corner Bostic again. Items not on the agenda is we were digging on this past week on Celia Street, where the Clark Street ditch is, where the water line is. That's a designated trout street. And I went by there to go off about 8:30. There's no inspectors there. The inspectors never showed up till noon. How can they be digging it without the inspectors? I never seen anybody there from home. And there was no silt screens on the downside of the culvert. You know, that flat meshes, they were not there either.
And Paul, here's a good example. If you're gonna throw something at me, Celia Street, Trout Stream, I'm not gonna be aware of this topic. The commissioners are probably not gonna be aware of this topic. This would be a good opportunity, again, set an appointment, come to the city offices and find out what's going on. A lot of times, you know, the city manager or whatever topic that you're looking at, they can find this information, they can answer these questions, or they can address it. When you bring it to the commission, we're not aware of all of these things that are happening. If you go to Scott or any other members and you don't find resolve, that's when I would like to see you here. So I went to Scott and I talked about this and I didn't get resolved. Okay.
We met out in, your neighborhood 2 different times. So I appreciate you having bring up and having a call.
And it's been more than 9 days since the load restrictions came off. They had 9 days to finish that project, and it's not done. That first coat of what they were supposed to get done. What's gonna happen there?
We'll go through the status that the project, my report, construction update. We can touch on the question.
Okay.
Their timing, where they're at, where they're going.
Okay.
And there's other newer stuff that people complained about, and nothing got done. The one as far as Scott's desk and stops right there that you do not know about. You did not know about Keith Cram ever raw sewage into his project, into his house. And that's the other item on the agenda that I wanted to bring up, that it should be brought up at every commission meeting. The problem that people have complaints that you should know about.
Okay.
And you're not getting them, everybody should know about the problems.
Thank you, Paul. All right, anybody else? Items not on the agenda, 3-minute limit.
I would just like to take this time with Kristen Miller to thank you all so much for the people who work for the city and for the commissioners the time that you put in, that no one realizes how much time you put in and the knowledge that you have. And I really want to thank you all for what you do for our city, because I see a lot of amazing things in this city. And thank you very much.
Item H. Okay. Takes us to new business. Item I, discuss and consider authorizing the creation of an assessor's plot for the rural land neighborhood.
Can I, before you guys start, I have to tell you that I live in that neighborhood and I must not participate in any discussion or in any vote.
Thank you. So I'll give you a brief overview of this project. We also have Ron Jacobson from Comm here that can explain a little bit more details on the process and what's involved with this type of project, and maybe be able to address some of the questions and concerns that were brought up during the public comment period. To give you a little background and history on this, the area that in question, the rural land area, is on plat. It's one large piece of property with multiple houses built on it. What happened during the mining days is the mining company built the properties for the miners, for the workers, and they deeded the land over to the Rural Land Association, which was created back then. And since then, the Rural Land Association has been the owner of the property out there. The homes that are built out there, the homeowners own their homes, but they don't own the land that the homes are built on. And then causes a number of issues and concerns for both the city and the homeowners. So a number of years ago, and actually I think it's been in the budget for the last 2 years, that you budgeted $20,600 to go towards platting this area. And that's not going to be enough to pay for the entire process. And Ron can get into this more, but the state has a very specific formula for how this is paid for. So it's actually state statute that we have to apply with as far as how it's paid, how it gets divvied up. And Ron can explain that more, but total project costs are probably somewhere closer to $35,000. So there's a shortfall. What the city's at least proposed to put in was budgeted for. The remainder will be covered by the homeowners out there. Kind of go over some of the benefits and negatives of platting this. There may be more out there, but these are some that we kind of came up with. Some of the benefits, one, if there are blight issues out there, there are code enforcement issues. The city can only go after the property owner, which is the Rural Land Association. So that, causes a problem because then the association has to work through the property owner, the homeowner issues, to get those resolved, and it makes the process difficult. Currently, there's only one tax bill that's sent. So the tax bill gets sent to the Rural Land Association, which is all homeowners out there, all homeowners comprised of the association. But the association is responsible for paying the tax bill. Now, I understand that there are dues that are in place that each homeowner is supposed to pay the association, they're supposed to cover those costs. But if a homeowner doesn't pay, the association still has to pay that tax. Otherwise, the tax is not paid, property can go in the foreclosure process, and the property could be taken back through that foreclosure process. And if that happens, the homeowners out there are in a lot more trouble than they would have been if they didn't pay those dues to pay for those property taxes. Because if that process the property reverts back to the county for the foreclosure process, eventually goes up on tax sale, one individual can come in there and buy it all, and then the homeowner would be at the mercy of that new property owner. So that's a concern. If residents want to get a building permit, if they want to put up an extra garage or a shed or a fence or something like that, they would have to go through the association to get that permission because they don't own the land. They can't get a building permit because they don't have permission to obtain one. So, that right there would help clear up those types of issues. There are currently no platted right-of-ways or streets. Physical streets exist out there, but there's no legal street that exists. And that's a concern for road funding and maintenance and other water and sewer utility type issues. Now, the city has, easements over its water utility and sewer lines out there, but again, we discussed last meeting with the similar road planning issue that it's important that all city streets that are used by the public and accessed by the public are platted. Right now, there's really no, I guess it'd be a question for the attorney, but is there legal access to those lots? Is it legal public access, or how people access those streets and the property? Another benefit too is that people try to buy a home out there, banks and mortgage companies, they're gonna generally tend not to want to issue a mortgage for a property that is not owned by a homeowner, but it's a house. So that's an issue too, unless you pay cash for the home. It's very difficult to get a mortgage for a property out there. Another benefit too, right now, the association, my understanding, doesn't carry insurance. And, that could be an issue moving forward if it stays in the ownership of the association. If something happens out there and there's a legal issue and there's no insurance to cover whatever the case may be, that could be a negative for the current owners because if someone goes out, probably, sue the association if there's nothing. But the only collateral that they have, or money that they have to cover the claim, will be the land and the property out there and homes. So that could be an issue. These are all benefits to why it should be platted, to prevent all these issues, prevent those issues, and provide opportunities for homeowners out there, as well as to better the community. So forth. Really, the negatives are the residents, the homeowners out there would have to pitch in and pay for a portion of this planning process, at least how it's currently set up right now. Like I said, currently you got roughly $20,000 budgeted to put towards this project. The remainder would have to be paid for by the homeowners. The rest of the document memo here just goes through how this is consistent with the capital plan, goals and policies and strategies. It has been set as a priority action by the city based on the budgetary process. This is just kind of an image of the area, the outline in red is roughly the Aurora Land Association and where all the homes are. The remainder shows a couple different scenarios for the platting and fees that would be associated with each individual homeowner. And with that, I guess I'll turn it over to Ron so he can talk about any.
Before I just maybe ask, before Ron steps in, Ron is a surveyor from Comm that could talk about any more detailed survey questions you might have over that. But I wanted to also reinforce that public entities like the city invest in neighborhoods all the time. We do it probably on a daily basis. And a couple examples that might be similar but not exactly the same would be we just did a street bill. We went out and got 2 mills from the public supported that. We're going to do a number of roads around town. Now, we're not doing everybody's road, but everybody's paying for it. So they've invested in the city. They said, we're going to invest in the city. This is good for all of us. So again, we're taking their money, we're going to do a number of roads, but not everybody's going to be paved. But the overall big picture concept is hopefully we're increasing our property value, we're increasing our investment in our properties that we're willing to invest back in those. And that's the big picture concept of the city. Why do you do public investment on a local level, state level? State does it all the time. We do it on a smaller basis. Another similar example is our water utility rates. We're going to be talking about that tonight. We increased our water utility rates through projects. We've done 3 phases of projects, really improved some neighborhoods. Now everybody's water and sewer rate went up to cover those projects. So now the people in those areas, the residents of those areas, have nice, good water, good sewer, and good streets in their neighborhoods. We've all paid for that investment. Are we done yet? No. We might have to adjust rates, going forward to do other people's, water and sewer in their streets and for their properties in the community. really the big picture community investment. When you start saying, do you use public funds for this type of projects, it's directly applicable to this concept too. If you so choose to use public funds here, it's totally acceptable to do that. You have to wait, is it a good investment for the community? Similar to our streets, similar to our, water and sewer utilities, to invest in this community so they can invest back in their properties, get loans to fix their houses up, sell their properties, increase values in the neighborhood. And this isn't just something that, if you do take action on it going forward, is for the next day or two. This is forever going forward beyond all of us. So it's an investment right now on $20,000, just that's a lot of money. But is it a good investment for this community in the future to see that neighborhood, all those properties retain their value, hopefully increase their value, and probably realistically right now they're going backwards in value because they don't have the opportunity to invest back in them, get the homeowner like we all do if we want to fix our properties up. So just keep that in mind as you talk about it, discuss it, see which way you want to go. So sorry, Ron's here too on the technical aspects with the survey process. Any questions I can answer that?
I'm Ron Jacobson from Comm Engineering. I've been working with the Rural Lands on the process of this. The state is very specific on this process. The city has to authorize this, and it has to be all done through the city for us to do this. It's private. So in that respect, it is kind of up to the city whether they want to do it or not. If you do decide to go ahead, there's a specific formula that has to be done for the actual allocations of any funds that will be put on tax rolls to individual homeowners. That process is very complicated, as a lot of people in this room have realized. And I did a couple scenarios which were given to you in your package. The idea is to try to plat all lands possible. However, we cannot plat any vacant lands. That's one of the things about this, we can't plat vacant lands. So there may be some lands that may go unplatted, that'll still be part of our lands. The idea is to try to get all adjoining properties to increase the size of their lot to plat those lands if possible. And one of the first steps we would do if we decide to move forward is to meet with the landowners and go over what they would like to include. We've talked with some of them individually, and they have indicated that they would like to take a larger portion of the land, vacant land that's next to their property, which is going to mean that will change the allocation from what I gave, because it's all based on the lot size and the number of lots. The way the allocation works is 50% of the part that's going to go to tax rolls would be divided equally amongst the number of people. I believe it was 27 or 28. And the other 50% is allocated based on lot size. Our fees are fixed. We already submitted the proposal, and those fees will be fixed for the whole process. The process will probably take about a year. By the time we get through all the hearings and everything else we'll have to do. So in that respect, will be finalized, I'm guessing a year. I'd like to say sooner, but you guys go through the state and all kinds of other entities to get it approved, so. That's kind of the short of it. If you have any questions, be glad to answer.
Commissioners, any questions or comments at this point?
So with this, would the Rural Land Corporation still exist? Like, I get the feeling that this is something like an HOA a little bit, that they pay fees to be part of this group, and obviously they own their property. Is that correct?
That's my understanding, is how it works, similar to a homeowners association, where the association exists, they're the owners of the land, they have a due system in order to cover the cost of owning the land, pay the property taxes. I don't know if there are other, if the dues include any other types of other fees or other
Sure.
stuff. I don't know the details, but that's essentially what it's acting as.
Okay.
So as far as will it exist, like Ron said, there may be property out there that we aren't able to plat. It would still then have to stay unplatted and in the ownership of the association. Now, what the association does from that point forward, that's up to them on how they want to proceed, exist, cease to exist. And those are all questions that would be up to that group.
Okay, so my question would be, let's say we do this project and the tax rolls, like it has to go back on the tax rolls, or it gets foreclosed or whatnot, and it comes up for sale again. Is that like the city property, or would it revert back to the Aurora Land Association?
If it went through the foreclosure process, would it eventually go back to the county, to the property manager? There's a process that, the state gets a first right of refusal on the property they want, and then it comes to the city, and then it comes to the county, and then if nobody wants it of those entities, then they go out through the auction process and see who wants to pick it up through the auction process.
Okay.
Commissioners, any further questions, comments?
And just to note, if you do decide to move forward tonight, we will bring back a formal resolution that we're required by state law to have you adopt. We didn't bring that to you tonight until we really knew if you were ready, if you wanted to move forward with it. So that we brought back at a subsequent meeting. You do choose to move forward at this time.
I believe this project was part of our initial goals at one point. Okay. I think it's important to invest in the city as a whole. And to me, it looks like there's a good faith effort. There's a split between the cost between the city and the association. I don't have any further questions unless the commissioners have questions or comments.
And I know too that, I know Richard excused himself from this, but I believe a good majority, probably more than close to 75% of the homeowners out there are in favor of this. I mean, there were some that weren't in favor of it, but a good majority of them said they were in favor of it, at least according to what Rick's information is providing.
I think I can at least clarify that safely. 20 out of 24.
It's an awkward position for you guys to be in. I can see that. It's just typically if property owners have a question on their property, they bear the cost of having the survey done.
I just didn't know we could get sued and lose our house, or I've never moved in there.
That being said, there is also a benefit to the city too. I can see that. But I think it should be more of a 50-50 split between the city and the association if we were to move forward, I think.
Right now, we're looking at what kind of costs? Roughly 20,000 for the.
Coleman's proposal is for 32,000. There are some additional fees in there with regards to legal and processing fees for recording the plat, and some of the fees of the state that weren't originally included in that proposal. So there may be another few thousand on top of that. We won't know until we go through the process, but it should be around, like I said, between 32 at a minimum, and maybe another few thousand, close to 35 total, depending on what the processing fees are through the state process.
And you're recommending what portion be paid by the city?
So the city's budgeted $20,600.
Okay.
And so the remainder would then be covered by the homeowners.
Okay. And that's budgeted for, and that is part of our goals, I believe. Okay.
Is there any other places in town this was done before?
Go to Dennis, are you aware of any other places, Dennis, that we have this?
Yeah, up by the Indian, that was it was an unrecorded plat, there was a plat up there back in the 50s.
Who
And
paid?
so the whole city, there was, the assessor's plat 1 through 16, so that's some point in time, it was done in the past. Probably until prior to the state.
Do we know who funded that process?
No, I
Probably not. We're not sure.
Well, obviously, when the residents bought these houses, you know, they must have been told they were gonna buy it from this Rural Land Association.
They probably knew that, I would imagine, when they purchased it. They weren't purchased the property, but the house itself.
One other question, how many years do you think it would take to pay back on the fees on the households till this is paid for then?
Our initial estimate to the cost was 40 to 50 years. Based on values as they currently are, not taking into consideration, home improvements, additional building. And the way that we would, and this would be up to you too, that you would structure it, but what we're looking at is basically it'd be an assessment on the properties over the course of 5 years. And cost, the city would pay the upfront cost, to do this, and then the cost that would be assessed back to the property owners would be assessed over a 5-year period through the taxes. So, the property owners wouldn't have to pay upfront. They could if they wanted to, but they, would pay over the course of 5 years. And Ron, I don't know if you have a ballpark number, a rough number of what an average would be for dollar amount per property. And again, it depends on the size of the property, but
I don't have an actual dollar amount, but looking at what we had assessed on what, based on what everybody's thinking, we're averaging about, let's say, $400 to $500 per property on average for assessment, based on the amount that was budgeted for the city.
so if you spread that out over 5 years, roughly $100 a year additional assessment.
That would be a decision point for the commission to move forward, that time frame, 5 years or something, less or more. That's a point of discussion. 5 years, anything magical, like 5, try to find something that's manageable financially.
How does the association, what do you do with your dues now, the association? You must have a fund of some kind somewhere. A fund balance of something. I mean, if you collect dues to pay taxes, there must be some kind of.
Who's supposed to be answering these questions?
Oh, anybody, I guess it's just a general question.
But can we ask Rick to answer? This seems
Rick, can you
outside of it. I'd
ask
like to
my
hear your
question?
answer, Rick.
All right. If you guys want me to answer, I'll have to
Yes.
answer. All right. The corporation charges a very, very modest assessment that we're supposed to pay our property tax out of. We have exactly no leverage. A modest percentage of people don't pay it. There's no way around that. The rest are stuck paying that. And that's pretty much what you're asking me, right?
Yes, so those that don't pay dues, you people that do pay dues are gonna end up paying for this additional assessment?
No,
Regardless.
because, can I answer this question? This will be done through the city. This will be a direct fee that will be added onto their tax assessments. They can't sneak out of this. And again, that was one of the,
I guess I'm still not following.
one of the negatives with the, like Rick said, is they say they're supposed to collect dues from 27 homeowners out there. They're not getting all those dues from all the homeowners. So somebody or multiple people are covering those people that aren't paying those dues and still making the property tax payment. So they're, I guess you could say, residents out there that are reaping the benefit of not paying anything for property taxes that they should be paying their share for. Once the property is platted, everyone will have their own piece of property. They'll receive an individual tax bill moving forward in the property tax bill, where right now, only one tax bill goes out, it goes to the corporation. So over the course of that assessment, whatever the time frame you want to set, there'll be a line item on there, Paul, correct me if I'm wrong, it'll be on the tax bill, it says, assessment X amount of dollars for
the Aurora Land Association plat or whatever. So it'll go directly to those, the property owner that owns that piece of property.
I understand.
Any additional questions for Mr. Seymour or such?
No, other than if we're gonna move forward with this, I would not be willing to support it unless it was a 50-50 split between city and association owners. That's what I would support. I don't know how the rest of the commission feels.
Well, the city has set aside, what, 20,600 for this project, or tagged some of this for it. We're looking at the project of being upwards of 33,000, maybe a little bit more with additional costs. So you're talking the city paying 20 and then the land association probably paying 13, 14, 15-ish. Not quite 50-50, but I think there's still a pretty good investment with the association.
There is, but I would think just, it would make me, and I think other people in the city feel better if it was just a 50-50 split. You guys have some skin in the game, of course, but a little more doesn't hurt. And any money that's saved could be applied towards a different project, like mine safety, fencing or something.
I will make a motion that the city budget for half of the Aurora Land Survey project costs.
Second.
So I just want to be clear, Mr. Sim, that you're authorizing the creation of the assessor's plot for the Aurora Land Association where the city would be liable for half of the total costs.
Correct.
Okay. And Mr. Tower, you support that?
And just to clarify, that would be whatever
the final bill is.
That's right.
Any further discussion on this item? Can I do a roll call?
Here,
No.
Sim,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Corbett.
Yes. Item J, discuss and consider retaining professional land surveying services from Comm Engineering for the development of the Aurora Land Association Assessor's Plot. Excuse me.
And again, this is just the contract award for Coleman to actually go through the process of creating a plat. They will be working through this. They're going to be doing, following state law, helping us through this process all the way.
All right, so with this project costing as much as it does, and with the city agreeing to make an investment of this type, why would we not go out for bids?
You can go out for RFPs, request for proposals, if you're required to, if you'd like to, you have that option.
I will make a motion that we go out for an RFP for this project.
I'll support it.
Can I just ask Ron how many hours Coleman has probably put into this already?
I probably put in over a month into this already, 1 to 2 months.
Then
Along with research and state. I'm hoping Michael and Scott understand the state rules.
I understand. Even still, wouldn't that come off of your bottom line of the RFP or some type? I just, with the taxpayers being liable now for as much as we are asking them to, I think that we should be considerate of that.
But in fairness to Coleman, the competitors don't have to pay for that month's worth of work that Coleman just put into it.
I didn't ask them to do that work.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Well, there's a motion and support.
Pardon?
I support the motion.
Okay, so I have a motion by Commissioner Sim and a support by Commissioner Tower to, I'm trying to think how to word this, seek professional land surveying service by process of RFP, request for purchase for the Aurora Land Associate Assessor's Plot. Does that make sense? Okay. So motion by Sim, second by Tower. I'd like to do a roll call.
Sim,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
here,
No.
Corcoran.
Yes. Okay, item K, discuss and consider approving resolution 015017, a resolution enabling the city to enter into installment purchase agreement with First Merit Bank for the purchase of 2 tandem dump trucks for the Department of Public Works.
Thank you. The purchases were approved a while back. At that time, the commission gave staff some direction to go look for some financing options. The trucks have been ordered. We haven't received them yet. I believe we are looking to get one here in June, and maybe both in June or maybe one in July. But once the first one comes in, we'll leave the financing available to purchase those. So we looked at financing interest rates from local banks. We've sent requests for proposals to about 10 different banks and received bids from, I believe, 7 of those. They came in very competitive. 1.95% was the low bid, and 2 banks actually submitted that bid. First Merit Bank here out of Ironwood and Superior National Bank and Trust out of Hancock. And they are very competitive bids from a finance standpoint. We do have a lot of purchases yet to make. We do have a list of equipment to replace, new ones to purchase, and look at financing when the rates are low, purchasing outright when the rates are high. So at this time, we'd like to recommend that we do go through the installment purchase agreement with First Merit Bank to purchase those 2 pieces of equipment, the tandem trucks.
Commissioners, any further questions?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 15-017 as described in item K.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Semo to approve resolution 015-017 as described in item K. Any further discussion or concerns? Roll call.
Howard,
Yes.
Eric,
Yes.
Simo,
Yes.
Sim,
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. Item L, discuss and consider approving resolution 015-018, application for additional credited service.
Thank you. This is something that first time has come up since I've been with the city, but it does come up. With retirements, employees are able to request the purchase of years of service. We do have a defined benefit plan, and years of service are considered some in their pension benefit. In order to finalize that process, a resolution has to be passed by the commission to officially allow purchase of that service. So the resolution was included in your packet. The employee, and I believe you've got an informational packet with the remainder of all the details. The employee is looking at purchasing, right, 2 years or maybe 2+ years, where she would then pay for that for those years.
So there's no cost to the city, it's really employees.
That's correct.
Commissioners, any further questions, comments?
I'll make a motion, we approve the resolution in item L.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Tower to approve resolution 015-018 as described in item L. Any further discussion or concerns? Roll call.
Here,
Yes.
Simo,
Yes.
Sim,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. Item M, discuss and consider proposed water rate for the 2015-16 fiscal year.
Scott touched on it earlier, I did a lot of work the last 3, 4, 5 years. He also touched base that we still have a lot to do, which we do. I wrote a bunch of notes down, I brought some props. These are brand new bolts, 1990, and some valves that we had. These were just falling apart. And one example was Burger King last winter. middle of the winter, I think it was a 24 to 36 hour repair. The ground was holding the valve on, we dug, and there's no bolts left. What we ended up doing is putting a cap on it. Right now, Burger King has to have temporary service during construction because we can replace that. Speaking of valves, we cannot shut down the highway from Lake to the end of the project. In Copeland Drive, the side streets we can, but those valves are the age of the pipe. We have a 1923 system. Do the math, that's 93 years old. We have 5,000 feet of 16-inch main that we still have to replace. The pump station is 1923. We have issues over there. You know, we've been talking, we want to address and start looking at this now, doing projects right now. If we wait 15 years, it'll be a 108-year-old system. We're going to be gone. The future commission is going to have to address that. Undersized water mains. This is a 2-inch main that we pulled out. Ended up being like 1.5 inches. There's 1.5 inch water main serving neighborhoods. You got a diameter of a quarter left in there. And this is serving many homes at once. The neighbors can feel the other neighbors taking showers because there's such little flow. What we're doing is just putting Band-Aids on. We still have a lot of holes left. Here's a service line that we've replaced. There's holes all over the place. We're losing, I don't know, 400 gallons of water a day still because of leaks. This is my, a lot of neighbors have this, a lot of people out here have seen this. $1,000 a day. There's 10 handymans, here's my $10,000 water main that we're still fixing. And what we're pushing and what we're doing, and we've done a lot of it, we're putting brand new mains in. We're replacing hydrants. I think I had 170 defective hydrants when I started working here. We're probably down to 60. After we finish this project in 2015, we have to do a new water system study next year. We did a study around 2003, 2004, and we had a list of priorities, maybe 15 projects out of 50 projects we needed. We were plugging those pretty good. Still, the 2 projects that still have to be sought to address are the pump station and the main. What we're asking you to consider is we initially had a 1.5% increase just to maintain the current operations. If you guys want to pursue with future projects, because we would phase these rates in 3 years, we're looking at a 4.5% increase. We could do nothing. It would be that much higher in the future. We have a slide with the rate comparisons. I called local communities last week. Wakefield is the lowest. Wakefield is one of the lowest rates in the UP. Ironwood Township is the highest. And if Ramsey was $1 more, we would be the same as Ramsey, which would be the second lowest rate in the area. I don't know if it's, it would be this one right here. Oh, maybe.
I think if you scroll down.
Oh. I don't know if you can flip that yet or not.
I don't think it can.
Keep going.
Just right click and you can rotate it clockwise. Keep going.
All right. It would be the next slide, though. All right. Yeah, Wakefield's one of the lowest in UP. I'm not sure why. Ramsey, if they were $1 more, they'd be right on the money with us. Bessemer Township and Annabelle's right around the same. Then you have Bessemer are raising their rates. I'm not sure what it was. It was in the globe last week. Then you have Gurley and you have Ironwood Township. I didn't put garbage on there. Everybody has a totally different garbage system. You know, up in Portage Township, they like 20 days at a time, at whatever, if you brought it. And so I left the garbage right out of it. But I guess that's what I'm proposing to you. We still do have a lot of major needs in the system. We have not too far from Rick's neighborhood, a half a mile away. We still have 20 PSI as a working pressure. You'd like to have the between 50 to 100, 60 to 100 PSI. We only have 25. And there's other neighborhoods, there's stretches called hydrants. This is the reason why we have no hydrants in the neighborhood. So we can sit back and do nothing, or we can look forward and decide to plan for future projects. We still have the needs out there. We have a lot of needs out there.
We don't necessarily have to sit back and do nothing. We can still plan for these projects. It's just when the time comes, there's going to be a more substantial rate increase.
Correct.
Then if we were to-
wait, we're gonna have a substantial rate increase.
I think,
All at one shot.
I think that's what similar what happened to Hurley, where their rates skyrocketed.
Quite often, yeah.
So with the water, when we're looking at water, if we increase the rate by 64 cents a month, that just kind of keeps us at status quo.
Correct.
And then if we increase it $1.28 a month, that's the 3%.
I'm getting your impression that we're planning for future
Okay.
projects.
Okay. So you would ask tonight either we vote for the 64 cents or the $1.28.
Correct.
Well, we've been really proactive in keeping the ball rolling on projects, but I think we need to just give the taxpayers a little breather. I do favor the minimum raise to just keep the door open as it is, 68 cents or whatever it is. And that's my personal feeling.
Which is where I'm at also.
In spite of the fact that we know that our needs are huge, we've done so much that we need to just at least take a little.
It's tough, because you have a system built for 17,000 people,
Right.
you have 5,200 people maintaining it. The water and sewer system did get smaller.
Right.
You know, I mean, and we've seen it, but, and I guess that's what we're looking for, is some type of direction for you. I mean, there's a couple of different, we could look at colors, but I guess these are the two options that we wanted to present to you.
Now, how long do we look at these rates for? Is this something that we approve for a year? Or is it something we approve for 3 years?
It's a 1 year.
1 year.
Every year.
Okay.
Right. Do we need a motion on just a specific rate?
Yes.
And the number was
1.5%.
155.
Yeah, like 64 cents.
I'll make a motion that we approve a 1.5% increase in the water rate.
I'll wait till we get to the next part. So I'll second it.
Okay. So motion by Commissioner Semo, a second by Commissioner Sim to propose a 1.5 water rate increase for the 15-16 fiscal year. And that pretty much just kind of keeps us at status quo. Any further discussion, concerns, comments you wish to receive?
So I think the thing that would make me feel much better, and in the future we had to make a more substantial rate increase, is that we had a specific project that we all knew was going towards it. Here's where your rate increase is going to go. Here's what it's going to do. That would make me feel much more comfortable asking for something like that than just this. It's going to be future project. I know that we have needs. I totally get that.
I understand. I mean, there's a couple of smaller areas that we can address the smaller projects. After years 2, north of the highway and where location is completed, the DEQ is requiring all communities by the end of 2016 to do a water system study. And we can do that study next year. And the best thing that he did was the study back in 2004, because we had a lot of those shovel-ready projects because we had a completed study that we got all that grant funding for.
We have been discussing other locations and priorities over the last year.
Correct.
Again, water related specifically, the 2 areas that have major need, and there's many out there in the neighborhood, but we talked about pump station, the water pump station needs to be replaced at some point in time. There's been very little investment in there. We've provided some numbers, so that is a specific project that any rate increase could potentially go to. The other is the Sutherland Street area. We talked about that as another high priority for us. That's just south of US 2, and that whole neighborhood in there has been another high priority. It's been basically our phase 4, depending on how much we do with the water pump station. And again, that's as far as we go with the identification of specific locations. We do have areas that are specifically identified that the money will be invested in. And again, with future study, we'll go on what is it, phase 6, 7, 8, So we'll continue on that path, we're stretching, you know.
Yeah,
We're able to-
I'm just not looking for potential. I want to be able, when people say the water rates are too high and that kind of stuff, I want to say, here's the next project that's coming up, here's where your money's going to go, instead of we're looking at all our options to do stuff. Yeah, that's all.
It wouldn't take me long to come up with a pretty good list.
I know, I want the next one.
All right, so we do have a motion by Commissioner Semo and a second by Commissioner Sim to have a 1.5% water rate increase for the 15-16 fiscal year. Any additional comments, concerns, comments you wish to receive? Roll call.
Simo,
Yes.
Sim,
Yes.
Sauer,
Yes.
Garrett,
No,
Corcoran.
Yes. Item N, discuss and consider proposed sewer rate for the 15-16 fiscal year.
The original sewer rate increase was 2%. We were proposing a 4% increase last year because of a large, project that they just completed at the wastewater treatment plant, was $850,000. And instead of increasing the sewer rates 4% last year, the commission decided to raise it 2% last year and 2% this year. So that's where I have the initial 2% rate increase, was because of the big project that just got completed. And the other proposal was an additional 3% if we were going to do future sewer system improvements. Right now, Comm Engineering, they have the bid for the saw grant, you guys are aware of it, it's about $900-something thousand to do smoke testing, televising, and just looking at the whole sewer system. They're not doing the areas where it's brand new, Jessendale, parts of Norrie, the highway, but they're going to complete 75% of the remaining areas that have not been looked at. With that, they're going to put that in the report. The reason for the study is, if the wastewater plant takes $1 million or 1 million gallons of raw sewage a day, sometimes on high flows, if you get 1 or 2 inches of rain in a 20-minute span, that might increase up to 8 million gallons. So we're treating 7 million gallons of clear water that into the wastewater plant. They're using all the chemicals to treat that. This study can help us determine where we have the defects, and then where we need to make the corrections, replace pipe, new lining, or whatever. I guess that's what I have for you in front of you today is, we need to do 2% increase because what we committed last year, because of the project we just completed, or you wanted to pursue increase it up to 5%, but we always want to do the water sewer projects at the same time. You want to throw them in the same street.
No,
I'm sorry.
go ahead.
I had a question. One of the residents brought up a number that the city of Ironwood pays about 70% of the wastewater cost. Is that true?
We own about 70% of that wastewater treatment plant. That's when that was proposed back in '85. The debt service, I believe, is 70%, and the operations, maintenance, and repair, we have to look at that, but I think that's like 58-60%. It's lower than 70%. The debt service, when they borrowed the bonds 31 years ago, it's right around 70%. I can tell you it's 69 or 72, but it's right around 70%. And we have maybe 9 years left.
So we're on the hook for that 70% because that was set when those bonds were
When they
taken.
borrowed money, right.
About the operating costs.
I want to say that is lower, but it's not 70%.
That'd be based on your water usage?
Yeah, correct. They
Formula?
every year we give our total water, metered water sales, Early's metered water sales, Ironwood Township's metered water sales, and then the total water sales, wherever we are in on that, that's our portion for the next year. So that number changes every year, not by much, but it does change.
There was some discussion a few years ago about metering the flow from each community. Whatever happened to that, or was it not a good balance?
That's tough because the large sewer transmission main in Margaret Street is shared by Ironwood Township and us. We have homes on both sides that feed into the system. Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. So right now, we're just there's a formula.
Correct. And the operations, maintenance, and repairs is based on the percentage of metered water sales each year. That part's more, but that debt service doesn't change. And there's about 9 years left out of the 4-year bond.
And the other part of operations, you have the two parts, the debt service, that's the fixed amount, roughly 70%. And you have the operational costs that, basically your actual cost of operating, what it costs you to actually process the water, your staffing, your facilities, what have you. We're members, there's actually 3 members to that facility, it's Ironwood Township, and City of Curly. We all share the costs down there, and there's a board that's made up, we have 3 members on that board. And basically review all of the expenses, take action down there on behalf of our member communities, and manage, if you will, the financial, or help oversee, not manage, oversee the financial, fiscal status of that operation. And again, we don't always agree on everything as a board, and that's the role of the board, is to ask questions, challenge things. And one of the goals we've had in the city of Ironwood is to try to bring the expenses in line with what we've done here at the city. We made a lot of changes here, in our expenses, our operational expenses through contract negotiations, through controlling costs. We've maintained costs, just a few examples are health insurance, big expense for any entity. We work with our staff here at the city, and we've created a cost share mechanism where basically we cap the city's exposure on healthcare insurance. So now any healthcare increase, basically the employee picks up, except for cost of living adjustment. So we made some substantial changes here. We're also trying to bring that cost be down to, as an example, wastewater plant. Now, I'll say we haven't been successful as a member down there in implementing what we've implemented here at the city. So some of the expenses down there, I guess, in my mind, you're still at a point where we still have room, things we have to accomplish down there to try to control costs. And as an example, going through the negotiations, there were just a number of concessions that were given through that process. And again, it's a formal process, so once the board makes a decision, that's what we live with. But we were trying to get a better handle on our costs going down there. We're not successful with that. So with that, that has an impact on our rates, of course. So again, with some of those increased expenses, we either try to absorb those and do less, the current rates we have, or they can be passed on to the ratepayers. And that's part of the dynamics of working with the board. The positive part is we can share the costs of the facility. Some of the challenging parts are, trying to manage the expenses. And again, as expenses go up, we're trying to control those. So last go around, we have not been as successful as we like to. We're trying to control costs in this process. And you may see our rates have to tweak up a little bit because of that.
So you're suggesting a 2% rate increase to maintain the status?
No, the 2% increase is because of the wastewater treatment plant improvements last year. We proposed to raise it 4% last year to pay for our share of the improvements, and we decided to go 2% for 2 consecutive years. So this was your second increase of 2% out of 2 increases. And then the rest of the budget would be 0% for status quo, unless you guys want to do projects.
So the other 2% that you're looking at is depending on what happens with the rates down at the wastewater plant. We've increased some costs, we're trying to manage the rates, and we're trying to hold those rates where they're still, not creating big increases to the rate payers. And again, the reason we hedge there is, we don't always carry the day, and depending on how the board votes, we may have to increase costs a little bit to cover some of those expenses. So that's an unknown yet. I think we're managing costs later, but something changes, we can come back to the commission, more information, maybe some rate adjustments in the future. So right now we're looking at 2% for the project that was completed, and then if you wanted to do projects like we talked about for water, there would be an additional 3%. We'll off on that for another year and see what happens. So it would be a 2% or 3%, 2% or a 5% rate increase. With the caveat that we have to come back to you in the future if some of those costs down here as far as time, keep going up.
Okay. Commissioners, any further questions, concerns, comments you wish to hear? Do I have a motion?
Louise has her hands up.
I'll make a motion that we,
That I could listen to this and then if I had a question, I could ask it. You wanted me to discuss it in my time and I understood that.
Okay.
I had asked, about after I heard what you said. I just have 2 questions and I'm going to give it to Scott. Okay, I don't understand something. When we did this in 81 or 85, whatever it was, we absorbed 70% of the cost, right? Of the plant.
Of the plant.
Okay, now, we've lost, what would you say, 1,500 people in 20 years, 30 years, at least? Okay, well, I'm just saying, we've lost quite a few people, okay? So now, why can't we, and I don't know if our attorney's capable of doing this or not. As far as I'm concerned, I'd rather everybody in this town bitch in money and hire an attorney to say, hey, if this is the scenario, we're gonna pay it, absolutely, we have to. But then we want to say what goes on down at that plant, not that the 3 people we have down there. It doesn't mean a thing, there's no sense in telling them, because the other 4, or whoever's down at 5 are gonna make the decision. If we're paying the majority of it, then I want the commission to do something to make sure you have a say in it.
I do know that the board consists, Ironwood does have a higher number of board members than the other representatives than Hurley in the township.
But it doesn't mean it didn't. Every time, I was down on this,
Yeah.
I got involved in this a little bit. And I talked with Hardy, and I talked with the gentleman out the township.
Okay.
And they seem to feel that there is no increase. Well, now, I've been in accounting, and so's Paul Lynn, and Scott's not in accounting, but there is an increase. If what they suggested they do, is not get an increase, then there again, that was pretty much the steps, the environment. So just think about it.
Okay,
Think about getting an attorney and let's fight this thing.
okay. Thank you, Louise. Okay,
I'll make a motion that we have a 2% increase in our water rate for this coming fiscal year.
Sewer rate. Sewer rate?
sewer rate. Yep.
Sewer rate.
Yep.
I'll second it.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Tower to propose a 2% sewer rate for the 15-16 fiscal year. Any further discussion or concerns? Roll call.
Sim,
No.
Howard,
Yes.
Gary,
No.
Simo,
Yes.
Corcoran.
Yes. Item O, discuss and consider curbside recycling.
Curbside recycling, when I started here in 94, I think garbage collection was $8.75 a month. Last year was $13.05, when we gave Eagle Waste a contract, it dropped down to $10.02. So in 20 years, it increased to $1.25, $1.27. With the cost of living increase this year, it only went up 14 cents, which is 3 to 4 cents a week. Eagle Waste proposed to do curbside recycling. The rate would increase $1. To my understanding, the rate would increase $1.50 the first year. It would not increase the second year. It would increase $2 the third year and not change the 4th year. And out of 2,700 customers, I understand that they would have to invest on the carts, the 96-gallon carts. I don't know if they're $75 or $100 each, which is a substantial amount of money. I understand where their investment is coming from. We've had Eagle Waste for a year. There's probably the least amount of concerns or calls I've had regarding bad service. You know, I can't remember the last time I had a bad call. So I mean, Eagle Waste has provided excellent service. We do have dumpsters in 4 different sites around town. A couple of areas are quite full. You know, are they all used by state residents? I don't know. You know, I can tell you some of the refuse is coming from outside the area. But I guess what they're proposing is to cover their costs, they're proposing to increase the contract another 2 years to invest that money for curbside recycling. If you look at the $1.58 increase for the first year, no change next year, that's 80 cents a year for the first 2 years. It'll be a $2 increase at third year, no change at fourth year, so that'll be $1 increase per year for the next 2 years. I don't know if you have anything else to add, or if you want to have.
Just briefly, we did do a tour of their plant, in Eagle, Wisconsin, and again, very state-of-the-art facility. It's truly a full-fledged recycling facility. It was nice to see that in the North Woods, if you will. They have that kind of operation. Again, it's up to the commission. We've got Jim Whittington here from Eagle Waste. Jim, do you want to add anything, or do you have any questions for Jim? He is here to answer those.
We certainly appreciate what we're doing for the city, and we want to give you the opportunity for the tenant service. I'm in town, if I'm in town half, 3/4 of the day, I get asked at least twice to 3 times, why aren't we doing it here as we're doing it in Bessemer, relative to national, or whatever the case may be. And I tell the answer that we talked about it, and we are talking about it. That's all I say. And there was a survey done over in Iron Mountain, Michigan, on the Dixon County, and 79% of people polled would be willing to pay more for curbside recycling and the convenience of having it. What this amounts to is around 60 cents a week per owner for us to come and provide it, or for us to come to their house every other week and take for recycling. If you think about the fact that of the 60 cents, and that's the way I think you really need to look at it, is 60 cents. Now, if it's 20 below zero weather in your house, is it worth us to come to your home every other week for 60 cents without you having to get up in the weather to take it to one of the 4 sites? Even in nice weather, gas, time, everybody's busy with their jobs, families, things of that nature. I guarantee you get a maximum participation with recycling, doing it this way, as opposed to those people that have the time, that feel like doing it, taking it to one of the recycling sites. This is something that you're actually getting for your money, not that all the improvements that were discussed, you aren't doing that also, not you make that, we're trying to apply differently. Here's something we hand you for X amount of money, 60 cents a week, and you get something as far as value service. So we're trying to offer you some values, offer you a Cadillac recycling system. This coupled with the service that we're already giving, I guarantee there's not a city or town in the United States that's getting anything any better than what you would have here, period. And I wanted to address one question someone had about recycling costing money. If we pick up one of our large dumpsters of cardboard, there's probably about 50 cents worth of value in that container by the time it gets figured out and processed. That doesn't even come close to paying for the time and trouble of the $350,000 truck to take it up, the $1,500 dumpster, and all the other added expenses. Recycling costs this much to get rid of, trash costs this much. The more we can show from this column into this column, as I work with every commercial business in towns and cities, that's where you benefit. Along with that, it's morally right and to recycle, save our resources instead of throwing aluminum cans in the trash or plastic bottles in the trash. So that's my take on it. We're trying to offer to you. We're certainly not shutting down anybody's throat. We think it's a great deal. Alan always, trust me, on dollars and cents, is paying way over the card to offer what we're offering, way over the card to do what we're doing. And it's 60 cents a week. We think it's a great situation for the city's residents and homeowners. That's all I have to say. Unless you have any questions.
During the workshop, we had talked, and I had asked you a question about if a resident does not want to recycle and they don't all want the can, is that possible? They will not receive one.
We're going to deliver the carts. If you want to put it out with recycling in it, you don't have to do that. Whatever you want to do.
There's people that probably won't even want the can.
I'm sure we could.
Extra place to have to store it in that.
We could work with Bob on that, if that was the case. And we're again, trying to be hard nosed. We're just trying to offer this something we feel is a Cadillac situation as an opportunity to further what we've already tried to do for the city.
Commissioners, any additional questions, comments?
I have wanted this for a long time. You will not find, I don't know that there's anybody else sitting here who wants curbside recycling more than I do. I am a huge proponent of that. Even still, the fact that we would be extending our refuse contract for 2 years is still a little concerning to me. I'm a big proponent of opening those types of things up when we talk about bidding and those types of projects. I don't know that we would extend this type of contract for anybody else. Why would we not? I'm not sure that's the part of this that makes me feel uncomfortable. I really want it, but I don't know if I would. That's a little.
We had the same exact situation happen in Tomahawk. They religiously bid their contract out for 3 years, every 3 years, religiously.
Yep.
We serviced them after a year and a half, two things. When this total program was brought to them, they not only adopted it, they extended the contract to 10 years. Because they didn't want to get rid of us. Number two, that's how that particular program fared out with their costs and expenses.
Sure. And I get that. You guys, I love the garbage service. You guys do a great job. And I greatly appreciate that. That's just, I just don't know how to answer that when that question is going to come up, because I'm sure it's going to come up.
One of the real things Bob touched on, I'm sorry, Jim, is you were paying $13+ and cents. And there were several times that I tried to, prior to the bid, offer you guys an opportunity to see single stream recycling up close and personal. And if that would have been adopted, then you would have still saved money over where you were at and had the curbside program day one. And that's what I'd like you to think about. It's still, even with what we're talking about, it's still definitely a savings over what you were used to paying prior to us giving you the opportunity to have the rate that you got. With the added advantage of the cards, which we think was a huge improvement versus bags laying on the side of the street, things of that nature.
I'm with you on that.
It is the option of the commission to extend the contract or go out to rebid, so it's really at your discretion. If you feel you're into a good competitive contract, you have good terms, you want to extend it, you can do that. If not, if you want to rebid, you have that option also.
And I do agree with you, Dave, on literally everything that you said. But we did fairly recently extend the contract of one of our contractors for the meter reading, so it's not something we haven't done. And I do understand that misgivings about the bidding process, but I'm guessing, answer this for me, Jim, if we said, no, we want curbside recycling, but we want to stick to our contract that we have now, what would happen to the rate that you would charge us?
We couldn't do it, number one, because of the fact that we have to have a certain, in fact, Alan Hawley, after he did all the numbers that we made, and we were out of that, he's still getting way over backwards doing what we're doing with this 2-year extension. It's not a lot of money out of his pocket in the bank to offer this to you. This thing should close to $100 a piece. And do the math. Plus our time and investment in delivering, putting them on flyers to people and all the labor and labor. And so he's truly bending over his financial barrier to do what we're trying to do here. And all I was hoping for was a very good comfort feeling, what you've seen from us so far. We are the real deal.
Right.
We feel no one touches us on our service, no one, and that's what we look at every day. And you got that comfort level, what, 14 cents, he said. And look where you're at now, who we are, what we're doing, our recycle center, the investment we made for everyone's benefit. We were at a comfort level where you could see that and then offer that to your state resident. If not, that's certainly up to you, and we appreciate what we do for you and how we do it. We just wanted to make it available.
What would single stream recycling include? Is it the same? Would it be the same materials that can currently go in the dumpsters now? Okay.
The same exact components. We would plan brand new 96 gallon, which is our largest cart with a yellow lid and has recycling. The things that you can recycle embedded on the lid. And you can definitely see it as a recycling container, and it would be picked up every other week. And then, which in most cases, we've got the, it would put everybody in a position to recycle about 50% of which some possibly would be thrown in the trash now. I mean, that's great people that want to track everything over these sites, not block those people. Those that aren't because of time and trouble, this would make it easy for them also.
Well, we have a lot of variables, we did go with Eagle and it did drop our garbage rates $2-3 a month. I guess we just have to decide if, we're gonna cut the citizens a break, or is this something that they really want? Jim, if there's something that we don't choose to do tonight, is the option available for us again in the future?
Absolutely.
Okay.
The bottom line for me is I wouldn't use the service. I saw your facility. It's very impressive.
Very.
Truly, I was impressed. And I support recycling, but I like our dumpsters. I utilize our dumpsters. I can throw big cardboard boxes in them, and I think a lot of people do that. And if I get a 96-gallon cart, I won't be able to do that. I don't have that. I have to break it down and slam it down in there. That's annoying. Me being a single household, I won't generate enough recyclable material to justify hauling that car out every 2 weeks, even in the wintertime. It's just not worth it for the price increase for me personally, being a single person, or even maybe some of our two-person households in the city. Is it worth it to do this? I don't think it is. I don't see the price increase being worth it, in my opinion.
Just to get us moving, I'll get something going. I do believe this is the right thing to do, as you said. This is our planet, we have to take care of it. It's a little preaching there, but I firmly, strongly believe that. So I'm gonna make a motion that we accept the rates proposed to us by Eagle Waste and extend the contract for 2 years.
So you're talking about the rate increase to incorporate curbside recycling?
To incorporate curbside
Okay.
recycling, yes.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Sim, to approve the rate increase for the curbside recycling service from Eagle Waste. Any further discussion, concerns?
Should this pass and a person does not want the cart, how would they go about doing away with it? 'Cause I wouldn't want it.
I've never had that situation pop up, but I would work with Bob and Scott, and we would work out a scenario that would be agreeable to everyone. And that's the only thing I can tell you. I don't have any bad answer, but I never had to answer the question.
So that, I guess, kind of just to add to that, so if somebody opted, they didn't want to have the new recycling bin, they would not then be charged? Are we saying then?
That's my question, that's gonna be.
They shouldn't be.
Billing, well, it's gonna be a billing container, I'm gonna have 2,700.
Well, that's what I'm just trying to clarify.
This is just
Okay.
like garbage hauling.
Okay.
You're either in or you're out. It's either in or you're out. If that's one way you can manage it, that's one way you can control your costs. So I'm very clear on that.
Well, I think, if we passed it and then you have half the population opt out, it doesn't give the Eagle Waste the fair advantage to make their investments to make this option available.
When I say opt out, I don't mean to opt out of paying it, because the bottom line is you can't. You gotta pay it.
Okay.
But there's a lot of people that aren't gonna want the cart.
Just
That's all
like
I'm
any
saying.
other
I don't want the
service.
cart, you're gonna pay for the recycling service, but if you don't want the cart, a person shouldn't have to have it.
Keep in mind, the recycling dumpsters will be removed, because everybody's got a single street curbside recycling.
Keep in mind that in Ashland, the biggest population of Ashland, which is here, 8,000, Ashland, we've not had one person not want their recycling. Yes.
Well,
And that's the reason I was saying, I've never had this
I know.
question asked before.
This is Ireland.
Got 2 already, huh?
Just make one more comment, just to make sure we're clear on this, if it does pass that. The rates you presented here are as presented in your memo, and again, there's no additional cost of adjustments or anything like that, but you presented here would be over the 4-year term, remaining 2 years, remaining 4 years of the contract.
what we offered is primarily, it's $258. And if you opted because of other increases, we would subtract $1, whatever I said there, and then we would have to add that dollar back to $258.
Right.
At our workshop meeting, I mentioned, the way you gotta look at it is $258. It's $258.
It's a fixed,
It's a fixed amount of $258, but what we're willing to do because of your other increases or things that you're dealing with. And again, Alan, trust me, he's got a mining figure, he's got about 2 seconds. He's been way over doing what we offer to do here. Because we're a small business, we don't have deep pockets. And he's trying to make something favorable that works for the city in that respect. So look at it as $258. And then, I would, your cost of living adjustments, I'm sure.
It applies to garbage, but not to the recycling. Because you have a fixed numbers there, I believe that's.
I think that, I'll clarify that. I don't want to make any mistakes, speak out.
Sure.
I'll clarify that with Alan, and I'll totally more that.
So maybe we need clarification on that before we act. I mean, what we're discussing is whether or not the recycling will have the same cost of living.
Right.
Structure
as fixed rates, for the next 4 years, we're just looking at that, my question is, those numbers are fixed. We're laying them out there, I just want to be very clear that, the cost of living adjustment, at least Saturday, this does not apply.
If you would like to step out for 30 seconds, hopefully you'll answer his phone, hold back and ask a quick question, I can be right back.
Well, cost of living is minor.
The cost of living for garbage just went up 14 cents for.
But it's important too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, you do that, if you would, Jim, yes.
It is still
Okay.
Important.
Well, would it be appropriate to table this
For 5 minutes?
topic for 5 minutes and move on to item Q?
Yes.
Or no, item P? Okay. Item P, discuss and consider approving payment one to Ross Peterson Construction, the amount of $23,000 for the demolition of 227 East Aurora Street.
And this is a partial payment, this contract is approximately $32,000, so it's to reflect the work that's been done. Basically, the building's down, fill's been hauled in, the site is graded, not final graded, and they're working on the building exterior, the adjacent building where the heavy exposed wall. So again, this is a partial payment, we still have substantial amount of money we're holding on to our final payment. It sounds like probably within the next 2 weeks, it should be done with the project in its entirety. It's moving along very well.
I'll make a motion to approve the partial payment as described in item P.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Tower, second by Commissioner Sim, to approve the payment, number one, to Ross Peterson Construction for the amount of $23,000 for the demolition property of 227 East Aurora. Any further discussion and concerns? Roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Item Q, discuss and consider approving purchase of handheld water meter reading device in the amount of $9,900 from HTU Supply Waterworks.
Back in 1996, 19 years ago, I came up with the commission, the old water meters that's on the side of the house that you read it, write it in pencil, those are obsolete. And what I propose to the commission is to convert everything to a radio and a touchpad device, and the meter reader needed a handheld computer, what it is. We bought our first one in 96, and after about 9 years, all computers, they become old. About 9 years ago, we bought our second handheld computer reader. Now it's 2015, and now our current one is obsolete. It's no longer going to be maintained by Sensitive Technologies. And I got two, it's a specific item. It's designed to read our census meters. I got two quotes, and it's going to be our third one we're going to purchase in 20 years. At a price of $9,900. I have it half budgeted out of water and half budgeted out of sewer. I don't have money for them. And that's about it.
Yeah, are you having trouble with it?
Current.
You having trouble with it, or is it?
It's just old, it's obsolete. I currently have an FCC license for the radio meters that we have. This new handheld device, we can do the different type of radio meter. In the future, after I'm gone, maybe 20 years, if we can replace those, we would no longer need an SEC license. But it's just, things change, computers change, programs change, and everything. So this could be my third one in 20 years, and I would expect going with the same rate, maybe it'll last 9 or 10 more years, so.
Is this used by our meter reading company?
Constantly.
And they make their bids based on that, we're gonna provide this to them?
Well,
We provide this to them to use?
oh, correct, oh, yes, yes. You know, we have a computer program, we download the meter reading both right in there. It's got everything in order, so read it, and then we download those meter readings right back for the road system. And we download the next row. And then our radio meters, we have them installed in maybe businesses that don't open up later, or if they have a wall that you absolutely can't drill a wire for 3 feet. Device in there, but yeah, exactly. We use this for our filming system.
I'll make a motion, we approve the purchase described in item Q.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Tower to approve the purchase of the handheld water meter reading device in the amount of $9,900 from HD Supply Waterworks. Any further discussion or concerns? Roll call.
Seymour,
Yes.
Sim,
Yes.
Howard,
Yes.
Garrett,
No.
Fortune.
Yes. All right, are we good to return back to item O? I got so much scribble. Item O, consider curbside recycling.
I did check with Alan, and since the CPI is attached to things, wages and you know, things over and beyond, not necessarily the value of any recycling, it would apply to that same percentage against that. So 14 cents.
14 cents, yeah.
It would be a penny or two for you, something like this, against the recycling. And regardless of CPI is up or down, we adjust up or down, goes down or up depending on that. So we're on both sides to be fair whenever that happens.
We have in the contract, it says, it talks about the CPI and has a certain table and a certain line item, and compare, I believe it's from January to the following January. So like you're saying, you know, it might go up, might go down.
It's going to be clear, so that's where you make the decision.
So do I need to modify my motion in any way, shape, or form to?
I would just like you to make a new motion, just to be clear, that's all.
All right, I'll make a motion that we approve curbside recycling using the rate schedule and CPI increases provided by Mr. Wayne.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Sim to approve the curbside recycling and the rate and CPI included in the item O description. Any further discussion, concerns?
We didn't clarify what happens if somebody doesn't want a can.
I think we did.
We did.
Yeah, if they don't want a can, they don't have to have it, but the cost will
But you
still
still have to pay
be,
for
you
it.
still have to pay for it, correct. Any further discussion, concerns? Can I do a roll call?
Howard,
No.
Garrett,
No.
Seymour,
Yes.
Sim,
Yes.
Fortune.
Oh, boy. This is a tough decision, but I guess the way I look at it is I'd like to see Ironwood continue to move forward. We're looking at $2.58 and we've saved that over the last year. So it's kind of bringing us back up to where we were and we have a much better service and a much better opportunity. So saying that, my vote is yes. Motion carries, I'm sorry. Item R, Manager's Report.
All right, just go over an update on some things going on around town. We've got still activity on US 2, the detours in place, contractors working on getting some valves plans and new control of the system, putting in some temporary water for the properties along there. They will be shortly starting on excavation and replacement of the water and sewer main. So with that getting in place, you'll see a lot of excavation work starting probably the next 2 days and next week, starting on the west side going east. You also see a big effort at the box culvert over by the Cinema by the Napa store, where that creek comes through. That's a big effort, so we keep putting that box culvert in. And again, traffic has been detoured, and they're tweaking the detour. So we appreciate, we got some calls from residents saying, have you seen this or that? And we pass it on to DOT and make adjustments as needed. So definitely moving forward full steam ahead. Our local project, our water and sewer project north of the highway, is what Ritzel was working on. Yeah, once the limits were off, they've been over there very conscientiously getting the work moving forward, getting things completed. So they're complying with the contract. Question came up, where are they at with their 9 days? Mike, you touched on that. We've got a couple of rain days in there. And then
they lost a couple of days there at the end of what, a couple weeks ago. Their 9 days is up here today, and they finished the last one driving the first layer.
Okay, that's
and they haven't, and the biggest thing is that they got out there and they kept working. They didn't stop. They didn't pull off and go on some other job and leave us high and dry.
And that gets them to substantial completion. The next
milestone. The next milestone, if you will, Scott, is all the areas that are in the northeast corner now need to be wrapped up by June 15th. If you'll look, the paid equipment in its infamous color is over in the parking lot of Kmart, and they will be doing some smaller work here over the next day or two. They'll buy the second lift of blacktop right away, is our understanding of the schedule. And that gets then a little bit of touch up with the restoration right next to that second of blacktop, and that area will be then all seeded and stuff. And so it should be looking real nice here over the next couple of years.
So they meet goal dates and for completion here shortly, the paving and restoration.
Correct, and we would anticipate that they would then also start probably here in the not too distant future, they would start on their remaining blocks north. There's some milestones associated with that, and I don't recall them off the top of the head, so I'll great next week.
And what we do in all projects, just to let you know, is with the residents, we really encourage and support people in the field. We want to be city staff or Common staff out there to meet with property owners as they're walking around, talk with them, see what issues they might have. I think they've done a very good job in doing that. Make contact with our residents out there. Can you resolve every issue? Not everyone, but they address everyone that does come up and try to resolve what they can. Question that came up at the last meeting, that's what I wanted to address, it was the property on south of Margaret Street, West Anderson. With this road, the question was drainage. And I did take a good look at that. I've actually met with Russ before, and Coleman staff has talked with them also. And essentially the drainage patterns have not changed out there. The road is put in, yes, it's a little higher, but everything drains away out, they drain out in that area. With that said, they're looking at doing some things that can help with that. And things such as moving a little bit of blacktop curbing to keep the water in the road so it gets on the catch basin. And that should be essentially an overall improvement to what you've seen in the past from a drainage standpoint. So again, we do take calls very seriously. We address, as they come in, as the commission gets them, and doing with us also. So there's a lot of effort to try to address issues as they come up on all projects, not just this one. And we do encourage as they come up to bring those questions out to us, and we will follow up.
Fair to say that by the end of the project, the city staff and the Coleman staff are on a first name basis with 3/4 of the residents on most projects. I mean, we have to get to know them, we have to work.
Next of all, it's a tough project and difficult situation for the residents, so we try to do our best. With that, just to keep on going through our project list. Next big project that we have in the works is our Gateway Trail project. I saw the activity out there. Ross Peterson is a contractor. They've cleared the trail route. They have a little clearing on the east end yet to do. They're getting grading completed. They'll come in with some gravel here probably in the next few weeks, and following up with paving and restoration. We still have the bridge also. AC Construction is doing the bridge redecking. Yeah, they ordered the materials, and I'm expecting within the next week or so we'll see activity on the bridge. And they're well within their time frames for completion and moving along very nicely. And if you get a chance to take a bike ride through there, and take a look at it, it's pretty scenic in some areas, and it'll be a real nice addition to the community. There's a few events going on, just to put them out there. We have the Go Ride, our range ride, and it's a bicycle ride that comes up every year. It's a fundraiser. They take their money and invest it back into the bicycle activities and improvements. So as an example, they're donating some of the money for the for the bridge project, and he's done other things like that. So again, a fun event, get together with people that have that interest, like to be able to exercise, and they always switch the ride. They start in Ironwood one year and Bessemer the next, and they go back and forth. And this year it actually starts in Bessemer on June 6th, Saturday at 2 p.m. So I want to encourage people to get out there and participate with that event if they would like to do that. And they also have weekly rides moving forward too. Again, bicycle rides, everything from mountain biking to the Wednesday casual ride, which is a more social ride. And we have a lot of those links. If they're not on our website, we'll make sure they're on our website so people can look at that and participate. The urgent need water main replacement project, we have a grant for that. That project is has been designed basically. It will be out for bidding here shortly. I know they go through a process, approval process, getting permits and all that, Mike. Great. And any rough time frame?
I guess we'd expect here in the next meeting or two to get the commission's request to vote that out.
Go for this. Right. All right, that's again a fully grant supported project. We also have the hardest hit project, essentially grant money to take demolish buildings that they need to demolish. Michael and Dennis and Jason and some other staff members are working on that, working closely with the residents. We are out for bids for our first 4 properties to come down. We're opening bids on Friday. And after review, we'll bring them back to the commission at one of the next upcoming meetings for consideration. And then we have about another dozen properties, approximately that, another dozen or a dozen total? Roughly, that they're working with property owners on various stages of acquiring the properties that will be coming to you for authorization to go out for demolition bids and then hopefully demolished by the end of the year. So again, a lot of work going into that, and again, working with a lot of residents that make a nice impact for some of these neighborhoods. Coming up at the end of June, as one event winds down, you know, the way we worked, and a huge amount of effort in that, and phenomenal to have that in the community and to have those opportunities for people involved. Just to see some of these facilities and the effort that's been put into that. That's winding down here at the end of this month. And then in June, we're going to have the UP History Conference. So it's a real nice dovetail on all the efforts that they've done to carry that forward. And that's June 26th to the 28th. And open to the public. There's a fee to participate in that. I want to encourage people to attend those events. There's breakout sessions, there's speakers. It's quite an opportunity to have that here in Ireland, that it does travel around the UP, and we may see it once every, I don't know how often, a dozen years or so. So it brings a number of people in the area too, which is nice. The Chamber is having their citywide rummage sale Saturday, June 6th, just to put that on everybody's radar screen. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks. And again, many more things in the project. You can go through the list. I'll give you more update on them. If you have any questions, give us a call. I want to also invite the commission and any residents that want to come in on this coming Friday, May 29th from 10 to noon. We're having a little cake and coffee for Bill Cooker. He's retired from the city, has been with us for 35 years, been very involved in the community. So, yeah, if you want to come in and say, wish Joe the best, this Friday, 10 to noon in the building, Mike, and welcome. Thank you. Recognize the retirement and thank you for his efforts and go coffee and cake.
That sounds good. Thank you. Item S, other matters, 3-minute limit. I guess Ironwood has a lot of projects going on this summer with water, sewer, highway, and roads. And I guess I'm very happy that Coleman and city staff are working with citizens, and I just kind of urge them to do what they can to be proactive, to let citizens know, what's going on, ahead of time, let them know their water is going to be switched over or their road's going to be closed or whatever we can. I appreciate that, what we can do to be proactive in that part. So, thank you.
I would like to echo that because I did hear some rumblings on US 2, and we've got to do our best to make sure that we're listening to people and we're taking care of them.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. That said, there are unfortunately some projects and things that, anyway, we're doing the best we can to make people aware of them. Everybody's good. between contractors and city, and in that case, the DOT, try to give people advance work as much as we can.
Any other matters? Item T, adjournment?
Make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Commissioner Semo, second by Commissioner Sim to adjourn tonight's meeting. Any further discussion, concerns? All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.